starting recording. We're good to go. Everyone, you're being recorded.
All right.
All right. Well, good to see everyone here in person and everyone online. Welcome. And let's call the May Flagstaff Sustainability Commission meeting to order. It's good to have everyone. Wonderful to have everyone here. So, as normal, the first agenda item, the vision and mission statements. The vision of the Flagstaff Sustainability Commission is that the city of Flagstaff is a culture and a community that thrives in response to the climate crisis. And the mission is to advise sustainability division staff on matters related to climate and sustainability, to support community projects through neighborhood sustainability grants, and to provide feedback to the city council on sustainability issues. So next, let's do the roll call. So commissioners, when either now or when it's time to say that you're present, go ahead and unmute yourselves and say here or something similar. So Chair Kevin White, I am here. Vice Chair Paul Byer. Here. Commissioner Margaret Steiger.
Here.
Commissioner Kristen Conkle.
Here.
Commissioner Molly McCormick. All right, I believe Commissioner McCormick is not present, which is all right. Next order of business is the land acknowledgement. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Next order of business is public comment. At this time, any member of the public, either present in person or online, may address the commission on any subject within their jurisdiction that is not scheduled for the commission on that day. Due to open meeting laws, the commission cannot discuss or act on items presented during this portion of the agenda. To address the commission on an item that is on the agenda, and you are on Teams, please use the Teams chat function and simply type public comment to indicate to the chair that you would like to comment. The chair will then recognize you when the time is right for public comment, and the staff will unmute your microphone as needed. Do we have any public comment at this time? All right, seeing none. Let's move on to the next order of business, which is we have actually two things to do here. Since it's a little bit ambiguous whether we had a quorum last month or not, or sorry, was that the month before?
Yes, it was March.
March, okay. Oh yeah, because yeah. Remembering now. Our next agenda item is to ratify the March votes and also to approve the March minutes. Does anybody have any comments or concerns about either the votes that we took last March or the minutes from that month?
I guess just the same issue you raised when I was told we needed 4. Did we have 4?
Yes.
We did have 4. Okay.
No. No, we had 3. You were correct. Yeah.
So I don't know. Can we approve them? Technically, can we approve those minutes if we didn't have a quorum?
So we have to go back and ratify the vote. So I think what actually, so to your point, thank you so much, Paul, or Commissioner Byer. That we need to not adopt the minutes, approve the minutes from March, and go through this agenda, take action on the items from the March agenda, and then in June, we will adopt or approve the minutes from May, which will then. Do you want me to share my screen? Yeah.
So
does that make sense? Did that all make sense?
mostly, yeah. So are we allowed to just ratify the votes from March, like
first.
Sorry, I mean, like, are we allowed to do that all at once, or do we have to do like one vote at a
No,
time?
you can ratify them all at once unless a commissioner would like to pull an item out and
Okay.
separate it.
So, and you said we should approve the minutes first, right?
I would recommend not approving the minutes, because there was action taken. So we will amend the minutes to remove the actions that were taken.
I see.
So I would make a, move to remove the motions that were, make a motion to remove the actions from the minutes. So strike that. And then when we come back in June, we'll bring forward the March minutes for approval and the May minutes.
Okay.
Does anyone need a flow chart?
Well, so right now,
I think I
I
followed.
thought we could do this today.
We need to wrap.
Okay.
So I move that we do not ratify the March minutes, but we at this time approve the approval. We ratify the February minutes. Hereby do that now. And also that we approve neighborhood sustainability grant extension requests.
Okay.
So those are the two things we did. So I move that we do that right now.
Okay. Does anybody have any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing no discussion, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Steiger seconds. So we have, so the motion at the table is to ratify the decisions in our March sustainability meeting, to approve the February sustainability commission meetings minutes, and to and approve the neighborhood sustainability grant extensions. Is that correct? Cool. All in favor. So commissioners, go ahead and unmute yourselves. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. All right, the motion passes. Nicole, should we approve last March's minutes now then, or should we?
I guess we can, since we've made that ratification.
Okay.
And then we'll just ensure that we work with Brianna to get those changes done before they're posted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. And I do want to repeat my thanks to all the sustainability staff for working all this out. All right. So do we have a motion to approve the March Sustainability Commission meetings minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Kristen's
I'll second.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. Commissioner Conkle seconds the motion. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor. So commissioners, please unmute yourselves. All in favor of the current motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say no. All right, the motion passes. Cool. Is there any further discussion on that order of business? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Next item on the agenda is the we have, I believe, one of the previous year's recipients of a neighborhood sustainability grant is the granted that.
Oh, we have new staff introductions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I miss that? Okay, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Next order of business is the new staff introductions. My apologies for skipping over that somehow. Gracie and Tia, I believe I believe the baton passes to you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick us all off. And I think you probably missed it because you've already had the opportunity to meet Tia. But I'm really thrilled to introduce Tia Hatton to the rest of the commissioners. Tia has accepted our sustainability coordinator position. So she will be acting as the liaison within the sustainability division to the commission, and we're just positively thrilled to have her on board. She's this is her 4th week, so she's been coming back, and we're really, really excited and thankful for that. I was hoping we could take a few minutes to ask the commissioners just to share a little bit about yourself, and I'm going to ask for Tia to do the same. But again, we're just really excited to have her. She went through a very competitive interview process, and we are just absolutely over the moon to have her as part of the team. So, Kevin, would you like to, I know you two have met, but just for the sake of all the other commissioners.
Yeah, so my name is Kevin White, and I am currently acting as chair of the Sustainability Commission. I've been part of the commission for, holy cow, is it 5 years or 6 now? Yeah, about 5 years.
I think you're almost at 6.
Yeah, time flies. I work in Lowell Observatory. I have a master's degree in political science with a focus on political economy. Spent 3 years in Peace Corps in Ukraine, and was born and raised here in Flagstaff and lived here most of my life. And this kind of stuff is one of my many passions. So I'm happy to be able to do this with all of you. So just to, Vice Chair Beyer, would you like to?
Sure.
Next.
Yeah, my name is Paul Beyer. I'm a retired professor of conservation biology at Arizona University. That's been my passion even before I got a degree. So I care about conserving the natural world. Still doing work, but I do it for free now. And locally involved with Friends of the Field of Flag. So I was main things we've done in the last year is create the Stream Stewards program, which is still in an early stage, but it's very promising. Continue to grow and thrive. And yeah, other things I might mention later in the meeting. So we weigh in a lot of issues, including we were the main opponents of the putting the Rio flag in the country 2 miles. And we're still dealing with the Army Corps saying that they don't improve the environment type statement.
All right, so just arbitrarily, based on how things are ended, from my perspective, Commissioner Conkle, why don't you go next?
Thanks. Hi, Tia. Nice to meet you. I think we met a couple weeks ago at a different meeting. I am Kristen Conkle. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today. I'm finishing up packing for a trip and I just couldn't make it in. But I'm excited to be here on Teams. I am a faculty in the public health program at NAU, and I'm really interested in the intersection of sustainability and climate action with health equity. My background is actually in health psychology, and prior to serving on this commission in Klamath Falls, Oregon, I served on the Built Environment Commission there. So I'm really happy to have you and looking forward to getting to know you more.
Thanks, Kristen.
And Commissioner Steiger.
Hi, Tia. My name's Margaret. I have been on the Sustainability Commission for about 18 months. I think I came in right before 2 years ago, grant cycle. I work at NAU as an assistant director in alumni engagement. My educational background is kind of varied. My master's degree is in archaeology and anthropology, actually, and have worked in museums and higher education ever since. And this is a purely side project. It's something that I'm interested in, of getting more involved with the Flagstaff community, and sustainability and sustainable communities is one of my interests as well. So excited to get to know you more as a member of this team.
Thank you. Should I? Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, that'd be lovely. It's so weird to know where to look. Yeah, so as you know, I'm Tia. I moved to Flagstaff with my partner last July, so coming up on a full year. And my degree is in environmental science and a minor in nonprofit administration. And since graduating from University of Oregon, I've combined those interests and done a lot of outreach and communications and volunteer management and engagement for both land conservancy in a rural part of Northeast Oregon, and then also for previously worked at the Oregon League of Conservation Voters, doing both political work and legislative work, but engaging community around those issues. So yeah, really happy to be here. Did a little blip in social work the last 10 months. So just really glad to be back, returning to sustainability work and climate action. Yeah.
Thank you, Tia, and again, it's
So you're
great to have you here.
You went to school to get a job like this?
Exactly. Yeah.
How unusual.
Right. Wonderful. Yeah, we are positively thrilled, and hopefully Bree will be staying with us to continue to take minutes. And Tia is your liaison, your go-to person. I, of course, will be any type of backup as needed, but Tia's jumping right in, so we're absolutely thrilled.
So
You
it's,
hear the excitement, how many times I say that?
so we also, I see Gracie is on the agenda.
Yeah. So, yeah, next up, Gracie is kind enough to do our monthly division staff update.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you again. I know I met most of you at the last meeting, and I came to talk about the Youth Climate Summit. But yeah, I'm excited to give you some updates from us. So April was a big month. As I mentioned, we had the Youth Climate Summit along with our partners at Willow Bend. And so we hosted around 100 students from across the state, and they were able to present on climate projects they've been working on and just participate in some different sustainability related activities and workshops. And the part I am most excited about the summit is we were able to launch a new climate action mini grant program, and 7 different local student projects were funded, where students will have some funding to complete different climate action projects in their schools over the next year. So it's very exciting. And then Earth Day was also in April, and it was a huge success. So that was at Bushmaster Park, and thousands of community members attended and were able to listen to live music and go around to different tables of different conservation or community assistance organizations. It's just a lovely day, and the weather was beautiful. And then, so kind of going into our climate action updates. So the climate team and the sustainability office applied to an EPA federal grant in April for the Flagstaff Regional Resilience Project, which would be a proposal to fund 3 different resilience hubs across Flagstaff. So that's super exciting, and fingers crossed, hopefully we get it, but we won't know for a while. And the climate team was able to engage with 236 people this month. So the different climate advisory groups, both the business advisory group and the youth advisory group, finished off their term for the year this month. And then the equity advisory group also met and discussed some different community funding initiatives, including the home weatherization rebate program, home energy retrofits, and the framework for a flood proofing grant program. So all of those groups have been busy. And then moving into the community stewards and litter prevention programs. So community stewards hosted 7 cleanups in April, and through these cleanups, they were able to collect 17 bags of recycling, 55 bags of trash, and in total 258 volunteers. And they're also planning sandbag filling events for this month and next month. And moving into the Stream Stewards program, the Stream Stewards program was able to visit 2 classes in April, one at NAU and one at Flag High, to discuss topics related to the Rio de Flag and help get students involved. And then there have been snow melt cleanups that have been being conducted. There were 2 cleanups at the intersection between J.W. Powell and Lone Tree, and there was one on Earth Day, the community litter cleanup right in the morning before the day got started. Our food systems team has been super hard at work. Along with the partners in PROS, they were able to construct a new community garden at the Hal Jensen Recreation Center. And they actually just finished that last week and had a community garden party too. And then, so this season, more than 90 community members applied for community garden plots, which is amazing. And so, with a very high demand, registration is closed for the season, and excited to get the season started. Our materials management team has also been working hard. So staff hosted a drop-off day at the police department on Earth Day. And in total, over 12,000 pounds of material were diverted from the landfill. This is the work of a lot of community partners, including the police department, the Hazardous Products Center, the DEA, and many more. And then on April 12th, staff conducted over 60 residential recycling bin checks in the Fox Glen neighborhood this month, and recycling QR code stickers were placed on all bins that were checked. In addition, staff worked with the NAU off-campus living to promote a donation drive-through event at the university library to help divert waste from the landfill during student move-out season. And finally, staff is working with the Hazardous Products Center to increase awareness of services available to residents through weekly social media posts and a new mailer design. That is all for me. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Gracie.
Yeah, thank you, Gracie.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I'll bring it up under new agenda.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, are there any other questions or comments or points of discussion on this business item before we move on? All right, seeing none, we will move on. All right, so next one is the one that I tried to skip to last time, which is discussion of neighborhood sustainability grants, both for last year and for the next year. I would like to mention that I believe on the agenda we have 60 minutes set aside for this. Due to some recent meeting constraints, we won't be able to go quite that long. But that said, Nicole, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to begin with the discussion for the commissioners about grant funds that were returned from Friends of Flagstaff's Future for the award of the Neighborhood Sustainability Grant from last year. And just to update the commission that Friends of Flagstaff's Future was not able to successfully get their grant project started due to limited staffing, but also their project partners. I worked with Michelle James, the Friends of Flagstaff's Future Executive Director. We spoke a fair amount about trying to find different community partners, but they were unable to secure that. And so they have returned them. Well, they are in the process of returning the funds. The funds will not be available until fiscal year 24-25. So we will have a few extra $1,000, and I need to look up the exact amount. I apologize. For not the coming cycle, but the cycle after that. And that is a result of how the city does its budget. So I just want to take a minute and explain that because it might not make sense. So the way that the city does its budget, next month, the total city budget will be going to the city council for approval. So that means that everything that has been approved in the fiscal 23-24 budget
which starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th, will be approved by the council and then appropriated for the fiscal year. So that sets our funding limit. Because we did not have those return funds in our budget requests for next year, we can't access them. So we will have just under $2,500 additional for 2 grant cycles from now. So hopefully everyone remembers, and we'll, and I know that I just want to say, Michelle, F Cube did try hard to find a new school to work with. Just as a refresher, their project, we were all incredibly excited about it. They were going to work with a school to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve air quality in the drop-off zones. So I think it just probably became a little bit more complicated to get approval and testing data and so forth. I think it's an incredible project, and I'm hoping that there's an opportunity for the school district and the neighborhood sustainability grant, and maybe even an air quality grant moving forward. But so they are returning those funds. Again, we'll see them a year and a half from now.
And
I know.
Yeah, I mean, my
if,
heart goes out to Michelle.
I know. Yeah, there's just so much going on.
yeah, if I may just want to state for the record that, it's absolutely nothing against Friends of Flagstaff's Future or any other organization, circumstances change all the time, and sometimes projects are going to fall through, and that's just life. And I think that, nobody can reasonably hold that against them, at least prima facie. And I think their forthrightness and honesty in returning the funds is also greatly to be admired. I don't think any of them are here, but thank you to that organization for your cooperation. We hope, and I think all of us hope that we'll see further applications from them in the future. Are there any other items about that? Are there any other points of discussion about that item before we move on? All right, seeing none. Nicole, was there any other?
There's 2 more pieces to
Cool.
the agenda items. So the commissioners may recall that the Herbert Chapel was awarded a neighborhood sustainability grant. However, there were stipulations or conditions on part of the funding. So part of their grant application was to do energy efficiency lighting upgrades at the chapel. And then the other was to receive funding to install a new natural gas furnace. The commissioners agreed unanimously, or voted very high, to advance the energy efficiency and the lighting portion of the request, but asked the chapel to go back and look at a heat pump and other opportunities to get away from just a standard natural gas furnace. We've been working with the chapel. Corey does not live in Flagstaff full time, and he has had a difficult time aligning, getting with contractors and so forth. My hope is that we can get confirmation from them that they would like to move forward with a mini split or a heat pump at their facility, but the clock is ticking. So we won't have access to those funds as of June 30. So similar to the city's budget process, if they aren't distributed by June 30, they will be reabsorbed into our neighborhood sustainability grant fund, but they won't be available until 2 grant cycles from now. So it's kind of the similar, which is one of the reasons why we want to distribute the funds in January, right at the beginning of the calendar year, to get them out. And a lot of that is definitely tied to our budget process. When April comes around, we have to essentially know what monies we're going to carry forward for the next fiscal year. But all of that said, these funds were not put into our budget asks, nor were they carried over. So we may find ourselves in a similar situation, that we have a little bit more money 2 years from now. So that'd probably be just under $4,200, I believe. But again, I just want the commissioners to know we are trying to work with Corey and the chapel. We've identified some funding rebates and everything for them. It's just been timing. So, but I will say that the preliminary, they did have a local company come out and preliminary assessment from that company to actually install a heat pump suggested that they needed an electrical upgrade. And so there are funds for that, some resources. So hopefully next month when we come back, I'll have a better update for the commission, but I did want to let you know that that still has not been resolved.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, here's the good news. You ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, so commissioners may recall, we talked about submitting a request to the budget team for an increase in neighborhood sustainability grant funds for next fiscal year. The budget team was able to allocate one-time dollars. So for next year, our grant fund base will be $75,000. So we were able to get a $25,000 increase. So what we do need to discuss today is what I believe actually Commissioner Conkle was your comment. And if I'm incorrect on who said it, please someone correct me. But if the commission has more money, the recommendation was that we actually increase the amount of grant awards available rather than giving more grants out. So to say, rather than the threshold that the grants are currently at, that we actually increase that. So some of these grant projects can actually go deeper and broader into the community. So that's what needs to be
More dollars
per grant application. Yeah. So that's the discussion that needs to happen.
Did we lose Kristen?
We just lost Kristen. Okay, so while we're waiting, we're going to join back, or this might be the end of the meeting. While we're waiting for Kristen to join again, do you mind? Yeah, thank you. And say we'll try to get a hold of her, and I think I actually have her cell too. Okay. So that's great news. We got a one-time bump, and my hope is that we'll be able to find some funding to make it a permanent increase. But again, the commissioners were very interested in that idea of rather than a $5,000 threshold that we bump it up to either $7,250 or even potentially $10,000. Now the distribution is going to be the same. And I know the subcommittee is meeting to talk about refinements, but some people may ask for 10,000, but we're only, or 7,250, but we're only able to give them 5 of it. You know, we're still going to be faced with the same challenges. But it's up to the commission on how you want to do that. The only reason we do need to make a decision is that Tia is going to start promoting and hey. Is she in the, you accept her from there or do I need to? I can't see the lobby. Here. Hey, you're back.
Sorry about that. It asked me to refresh, and then when I did, it kicked me off. So I got kicked off right as soon as you said my name. So I don't know what you said though.
You're just talking about how wonderful you are. No, just that there was a comment from a commissioner about if there is increased funding, that the commission consider if they would like to raise the level or amount of each award or keep it the same and then recognize that you're just going to have $25,000 more distribution, which is a lot of conversation. It's a heavy lift to begin with, so. All right, so open for discussion.
Yeah, well, if anybody has any points of discussion before I say anything, I'm happy to hear any of their voices first.
Oh, I like the idea. And I guess just to clarify, even this year, they didn't all ask for 5,000. Some asked for less. And I think absolutely there are projects that, they're skimping to think they can buy in 5K, if they need 6, they should ask for it or something. But we'll have that hard task of negotiating with them, but that's part of our job. Oh, I see. Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair Byer. Is there any other?
Kristen has her hand up.
Oh, Commissioner Conklin, go ahead. Sorry, I could, oh yeah, I see the little hand now. Yeah, thanks, go ahead.
No worries. I think it'd be really great to increase the total dollar amount that applicants could request proportionally to how much more money we have. So I think that puts us at 75,000. So I would vote that we increase the maximum amount of a request to 7,500.
Whatever the math is. Do the math.
And I think actually, Vice Chair Byer, you're the only one here you're the only commissioner here who's not on the subcommittee for who's not on the subcommittee for refining the application process. But we are hoping to have that as a basically a package to vote on next month. Commissioner Steiger, do you have anything to add or to offer?
I would agree with Commissioner Conkle, and I think to Nicole's point of being able to kind of the applicants be able to have a wider scope or a deeper impact, absolutely with those dollars, and also simple fact to kind of keep up with inflation for the costs of materials and labor. I know Commissioner Conkle, you mentioned that we would also want to revisit the percentage of those dollars that a person could request or an organization could request for wages, salary of people working on the project. And the current percentage is half, right? That before folks could request up to half of the grant amount, the total grant amount. Is it the grant, the amount that they suggest, or up to, what am I trying to say? 20, like,
I think it's written as the amount that they request.
So half of whatever they request is the max that it can be for. Okay. Then yeah, I mean, I think that should just stay the same, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I tend to concur with most of that. Yeah, I do worry a little bit. I mean, worry is probably strong of a word, but I do think a little bit of sometimes of our applicants just going to they only need $4,000, but they'll put an extra $2,000 $3,500 of extra stuff in just to meet the $7,500 grant limit. But that is maybe something that is something that we can incorporate into our scoring process if they don't seem to be making efficient use of the funds. And potentially, as we've done before, it's also something that we can ask to sort of negotiate with, like, we can ask to only fund parts of the project as well. Are there any further, so yeah, we went around all the commissioners. Is there any other further discussion either from commissioners or other folks in attendance?
I think the plan sounds good.
All right. So I think somebody other than me has to make the motion, or would ideally make the motion. So would anybody like to make a motion to to increase the limit of the
For each grant application.
Thank you.
Okay, we were at 7,000. How much? You did the math.
Well, I had said 7,250, but I think it was proposed at 7,500.
Yeah, 7,500.
Yeah.
7,500.
Yeah, I was just throwing out an example.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, no, I hadn't done the actual. I was just offering.
$7,500.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry for the verbal glitch. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Or Kristen.
There's simultaneous seconds from Commissioner Steiger and Conkle. All right, is there any discussion on the motion before we bring it to a vote? All right, seeing none, let's proceed. So, the motion at hand is to increase the funding limit for the funding limit for neighborhood sustainability grants from $5,000 to $7,500. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. And the motion passes.
I also want to thank Nicole for asking.
Yeah, so thanks to Nicole for asking, and again, I don't know if there are or will be any city council members listening in, but I do think that these grants are, they provide a lot of utility and do a lot of good in our communities. Because we get a lot of bang for the buck, so to speak, from them. And I would like to express my gratitude for the increase in funding.
And the commission, if the commission wanted to, a letter or a note to the city council after or before the award of the budget, or sorry, not the award, the approval of the budget would be, I'm sure, greatly appreciated. And we can assist in drafting that. If the commissioners wanted to, they could make a motion to allow the chair or the vice chair to be the signatory on that, or the commission can wait until June and send it after the adopted budget, which might be very nice as well.
Yeah, maybe that's something, maybe that could be an agenda item.
And given the time constraint,
Yeah.
So
All
we'll
right,
make sure we get that on the June agenda. And I just want to make sure it's clear that these were one-time budget, additional budget for next fiscal year.
Yes.
And then it's always fantastic with the neighborhood sustainability grants because we know the impact. And so that's going to be part of telling our story when we go back to say that 25,000 made additional impact to go broader and deeper into our community. So it's a really great statement. So I think we'll have a good shot at it.
Excellent.
Great, thank you.
All right, a point of a procedural question. As chair, am I allowed to shuffle items,
Yes.
agenda items around?
You sure
Okay.
are.
In that case, I would like to move on to agenda item D, public comment at meetings. And so the floor in that case goes to, again, to Nicole and to Tia.
And I did adjust an agenda. I don't know if it was sent out correctly, but I am sharing a screen that reflects that as well.
Oh, never mind. Let's move on with it
Yeah.
now. Though.
No, you're good,
So
you're good.
I'm still learning and want to make sure we post the right one. Yeah, everyone has the correct information and open meeting laws. You want me to lead this work?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as I've been, playing around with our website, came across our very long webpage. In that includes a section about presenting to or contacting the commission, as well as what we include in that monthly agenda section about public comment. And currently on the website, it says if you would like to present to the commission, fill out this work item form. The work item form is from 2011. And then email it to the staff liaison. So, and then I went to Stacy Fobar and asked, what are we required to do? Is there certain procedures we have to follow? I'm gonna try to find my email. And Stacy said, it is your commission's discretion on how to accept public comment. You can have people pre-register, although we suggest you do not. I would suggest having the public indicate in the chat if they would like to speak, which we do have that in our agenda. Or if they're in person, I would suggest that they have a speaker card or a sign-in sheet for speaking available. The public does not have a right to speak, but it's best practice to allow them. And all commissions can set a time limit on public comments as well. And that's the commission's decision. So I just wanted to bring this to the table and ask, do we want to keep like this work item form? And yeah, what, if we have any comments on public comment, contact.
It'd be nice to have more.
Starting with that.
Yeah, I have been on the commission for, like Nicole is saying, approaching 6 years. And I'm hard pressed to think of a single example of unscheduled public comment. I don't think there has been one. In terms of asking to present to the commission with the work item form, I would like to, if it's from 2011, there's probably room for tweaking it, but I would like to look it over before I make any judgment calls about that.
You want me to pull it up right now?
We're at time.
That we meet on the second Wednesday of.
Well, we'll take it, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's old.
Can everyone see that all right?
My vision isn't quite that good,
I should
but
have sent this out.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, it's a PDF.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Is that not coming?
Yeah, thank you. And just out of curiosity, how often is this filled out by people who are approaching us asking to present?
In my recollection, and keep in mind that the pandemic obviously was what it was, but I can't, less than a dozen times.
Okay.
I guess the only thing I wonder, I was pleased that in 2011, when we didn't have a climate emergency declaration or a climate action plan, the climate was already in here.
Right.
Wonderful. And I'm just wondering, since you folks are staff, is there anything missing? Any sustainability related programs that the city has that we didn't give a box to?
And we could have a box for other.
Yeah, or maybe.
It could match our current programs, although they're being reorged.
Yeah, I think I would recommend that they actually align with all the, so right now they're aligning, well, and this is kind of another conversation about the commission's charter. I think that it would be beneficial that we make recommended updates that align with the division's programming that actually speaks to kind of the goals of each of those programs, and just so there's more synergy there.
That's reasonable.
And of course, we can bring back the updates, the edited version for adoption in the June meeting.
Are there Commissioners Steiger or Conkle, either of you have anything to add? Yeah, so and if you want, I'm happy to work with you on updating this as well. One thing I saw at the top, maybe this could be worded a little bit more strongly. One thing that I would like to, one change that I would like to make, or one thing that I'd like to see, is when people present to the commission, that there be, I'm not saying that we have to vote on every single presentation. I'm not saying that every single presentation needs a vote attached to it, but it should be very clear what the presenter is hoping.
Your intent.
Yeah, what their intent is, and what their hope for and what their hope for what they hope to accomplish through their presentation.
Sure, and we can align it perhaps by putting a box down toward the bottom, I like how you phrase that, like, what do you hope to accomplish? But not everyone is familiar with procedure, with a formal commission. So I think we can put some narrative in there that helps them understand, is this an informational update? And they can check that box. Are you asking the commission to vote and approve? Or they can check that box, so we can help them walk through things a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, and I don't know where I'm coming from this, and I'm not like, this isn't directed at, directed at any specific person or group that's presented for us in the past. But there have been presentations in the past that I walk away from and think, well, that's interesting, but I really don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information.
Absolutely, okay.
And so I think, like, even if it's informational, there should, like, I would like to see, like, I would like to see the question asked, like, what am I as a commissioner, or what is we as a commission supposed to do with the information presented? If that makes sense.
Yeah, we can work on drafting some language and then have that sent out, the draft with the June agenda packet. And then we'll have it on the agenda for discussion and vote.
Okay.
And thank you, Tia, for bringing this
Yeah, thank you.
to my attention. It's really alarming when you're, oh, wow, that's dated.
Does anybody, so yeah, I second Nicole's thanks to Tia. This is a good thing to be on the radar. Are there any other, is there any other discussion on this point before we move on? We probably don't need a subcommittee or anything, but if you would like, my assistance or feedback and as you proceed in tweaking this, then I'm happy to do so.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, so next is backtracking, I guess, slightly to agenda item C, at least on my list. And that is council and commission communications. So this isn't an idea that I'm married to, but one idea that I kind of had was that, one of the reasons that this commission exists, at least as I understand it, is to advise the city council on sustainability related matters. And there are instances where we absolutely do that, but I would like to explore possibilities for doing that in a more systematic fashion. And again, I want to bring this in front of the commission. I'm not allowed to, but I also don't want to do anything unilaterally. One of the ideas that I had in mind was that maybe 3 to 4 times a year, which would be once every 3 months to 4 months, we could have, I don't want to call it a newsletter, but maybe like an update or a sort of memo, providing the Sustainability Commission's official unquote positions on issues that are facing Flagstaff, either things that are before the city council at the time or things that we believe would benefit from the city council's attention. I do recognize that given the nature of this commission, the logistics behind that would be something that would need to be figured out. The way I was sort of picturing it would be that there could be maybe a subcommittee or a single person, possibly the chair or vice chair, or possibly a rotating subcommittee, possibly through either Tia, the liaison, or Nicole. Commissioners could send possible items to be included on that memo to the subcommittee to be sort of assembled into a memo. And then as a commission we could spend maybe half an hour during one of our, we could spend maybe half an hour during a meeting once every, again, 3 or 4 months to vote on whether we want each individual item on the memo or not. And again, there's a few different ways we could do it. For example, we could require the vote to be unanimous so that nobody is feeling left out or anything like that, or we could require a 2/3 majority or whatnot.
So I mean, I think I like, it's kind of casting about for things we should be concerned about as a commission.
Yeah, and it would require a little bit of it would probably require a little bit of homework, but basically, go ahead.
So
Sorry,
these
go
would
ahead.
be then potential agenda items.
The purpose of this would be to communicate the Sustainability Commission's opinions and priorities with the city council.
Oh. That could be more. But I like it. That could be a lot more work. So I mean, the idea that popped into my head, and one of the things I was going to bring, and I'm embarrassed that here we are with the Northern Arizona Healthcare Project. We haven't spent 5 minutes talking about. You know, this has a big impact on climate. We've done zip. You know, and I'm thinking, well, why didn't I think of that? You know, we need a way to alert ourselves, you know.
Current big
Yeah,
issues.
yeah. What should we be worried about? That the
Yeah.
city council is going to make decisions. This is $1 billion decision. And we
Yep.
said nothing.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, that the organization that's building that, they did actually do a presentation for us. What, about 2 years ago now, was it, or?
But I think, yeah,
I guess
definitely
nowadays.
Yeah.
prior to some of the commissioners, seat on that. And yeah, because you do bring up, and past commissions have, struggled with this as well, where we have tried to bring, for lack of better term, hot topics to the commission, and their attention, and we try to do that. The hospital is a very challenging and tricky
I can't pretend to understand it, but you know. that's why
situation.
We probably should have had 2 meetings where we talked for.
Strictly on it.
more on energy efficiency, lead certification, transportation, maybe 3 presentations where we talked for an hour and a half on these things and digest it and comment on it.
2 thoughts here. I think that it would be beneficial if we could put on the June agenda, the hospital. So I can at least go down the last year and a half of what we've been trying from the sustainability division's seat, trying to help the hospital, encourage them. Because what we have right now, and I don't want to get too off topic, but it is appropriate. What we have right now is we have these very aggressive goals. We have a carbon neutrality goal. We updated, one of the first things we did after the carbon neutrality plan was adopted was move to request a major amendment to the regional plan. Because right now in Arizona, it's very difficult to do a lot of the work we're doing. It's very difficult to truly move the needle on climate action. And so my direction was that we are going to immediately after that plan was adopted, go and make a major amendment in the regional plan. So at least there's this kind of ratified document that has an amendment that says we are going to achieve carbon neutrality. Now, that against a zoning case is a very different situation. We are about to award contract for our code analysis. We've talked with the commission about this in the past, but we received funding that we coupled with funding from the housing section. And we are going to review all city codes through the housing emergency and the climate emergency lens. That was, scope of work was drafted in September. It's going to be awarded by the end of the month, next month. It's a 2-year project. We can't have another situation like we did with the hospital. And so I'm trying to get ahead of that code analysis project and stop the bleeding and try to get us to have some proposed more advanced energy codes and a few other ideas that I have and step outside of this code analysis project, because the challenge is we've got these plans and goals, but we don't have the policy. And so now, like with something like the hospital, there was nothing that was a ordinance or a law to say you must do this. So it's a really icky dynamic that everyone was in.
Yeah, we're probably screwed, but I still feel we should have talked about it.
Yeah, which also brings up another tangent, which is another thing we've talked about before, but maybe is worth revisiting, which is, are there ways that the Sustainability Commission can take some of that load off of the, some of that load off of the division staff?
Margaret.
Oh, thanks, Commissioner Steiger, go ahead.
Thinking of some kind of logistics of ways to learn more about initiatives that are already before the city council, because it feels like we could absolutely have, we could set aside 45 minutes for every single one of our meetings to talk about each like passion projects and things that we think are important for the city to focus on. If I'm understanding you correctly, Chair White, we'd be focusing more on issues that are already before the city council or are about to be, that we could have a statement on. I know we can't vote on them, but could have, some stance on those issues that are kind of already in existence, just for that clarification.
I don't think we'd have to limit ourselves to those, but I do think that that's probably where our time would best be spent.
Yeah, I think it may be helpful. This could be absolutely just an expectation of the commission going forward of our own homework of where to find that. I wonder if a rundown of issues before the city council could be a quick sum up, could be included in the staff update each commission meeting, because I know that sometimes those things overlap where we do talk about issues that are before the city, but maybe having dedicated time. And I do not know enough of how all of these proposals go through to know the cadence of that. Maybe it's not necessary every single commission meeting, but I wonder if that time that we're already set aside to talk about the sustainability office could be spread out to our, the rest of the measures before city council, just as kind of a refresh and a reminder.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
How mechanical is that? Is that something you have there is no, you can't look at the pipeline and see what's coming.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
It's,
So I think every month, it should be every month, because as things come up, right?
I mean, we don't necessarily have the resources to be
Yeah.
drafting
Right.
I'm just wondering what it looks like.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, the hospital thing just seems like it blitzed through, after 2 years, then there's quiet, and then suddenly, boom, and it's.
Well, because the
But that's-
zoning case
that's
gotta
me.
be heard.
I'm not-
it's been before the council many times prior to just the rezoning. That's,
Just wondering how it didn't get on our agenda.
I mean, I think that it would be bias. I'm trying to figure out how to say what I want to say. There could be updates that I'm going to go again to this term hot topics that are associated specific with the carbon neutrality plan. Let's use that as an example. But, and this is where it gets sticky because there's a lot of transportation related items right now. But there's a transportation commission, there's a bicycle advisory committee, and there's a pedestrian advisory committee. So this is kind of where things get a little funky, but at the same time, we have a carbon neutrality plan, which transportation is a significant issue in our community in terms of emissions and makes up a significant component of our tools in our very limited toolbox to hit that carbon neutrality goal. I do want to speak with the clerk's office about this kind of cross commission dabbling, if you will, but obviously the carbon neutrality plan extends out, in terms of impact to the entire city organization. So and that is like a nice tie-in with the charter, because, if the commission is working to help the sustainability division advance its goals, then we will be talking about transportation. Let T and I talk with the clerk's office on this, because I don't feel that I have, I don't want to say authority, but I want to ensure that any recommendations I bring or that are brought back to the commission are jived with the clerk's office. But all that aside, I think that, there's a way that I can keep Tia abreast of what is kind of some of the big things coming down the pipeline that we are involved in and working on. And I'll just use the example of 4th Street and Butler Exchange. We have been pushing very hard over the last 6 months on that project to minimize what I'm calling the interstate exchange that's being proposed there. So I think, we can definitely bring forward things of that nature. Let me get something scheduled with Tia and the clerk and the city manager's office, because I want to make sure that we are using the commission, that your voice is, the full extent of the possibility here. I love where you're going with this.
Yeah, and we are running out of time, so
Yes,
maybe.
okay, sorry.
So,
I'm getting
no,
up.
you're
I'll
good.
shut up.
Everything you said is stuff that needed to be said. But this is so this is a conversation that we can maybe continue, and maybe if we're lucky or good enough and really efficient, maybe we could vote on it next month. All right, so again, we only have about 7 minutes left before I think we lose our quorum. Does anybody have any, which is okay, again, life happens, and I think we've gotten through pretty much everything that we wanted to get through today. So thank you all. Does anybody have any discussion on the previous order of business before we move on? Okay, and like I said, I would like to I would like to continue this next month if it's at all possible. All right, so next is to and from. Does anybody just?
So did we decide to put the hospital on the next month's agenda?
I mean, is there interest for the commission just to kind of hear
Well,
where,
yeah.
like, all of our,
I'm somewhat torn as to whether it's just too late for us to be thinking about it.
oh, yeah,
But,
I mean, it, yeah.
So it probably is, but I just feel so bad.
I mean, I'm happy to share with the commission, for example, we had essentially a 20-page rebuttal that was submitted to the hospital in December of 2022. No, sorry, 21. But
We could.
Okay,
No,
yes,
we
just one
could
of those
vote.
bad things. We'll just learn from the past.
We could vote on endorsing the rebuttal if you think it would help. If you think it would help
I
anyone.
don't know, I think we look forward, and I think we use this energy to support what I first termed stop the hemorrhaging. Now I'm labeling it bridging the gap, but I think that there's an opportunity, and I'd like to put this on next month's agenda for the commission to write or to draft a letter to the council that states we need to, have this opportunity to bridge the gap and advance code so the council and the community is not put through this situation again. I think that would be more effective and a better use of your time.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Is there any other to and from? Nicole?
Because I like talking so much. June 3rd, watershed cleanup series.
Yes.
Don't get dirty, help clean up the Rio.
We will send out information.
We'll be there too.
Our council would be there. You could actually talk to them a little bit if you wanted. So yeah, if you want to do some good work and get dirty, we will have our first Rio to Flag watershed cleanup for Saturday, 9 to 11. And I will forward this on. We will be at Sinclair Wash.
Cool, thank you. Any other to and from?
I have something quick from Molly, because why she isn't here tonight is because she's putting on a performance about forest fire and community resilience. And that's happening tomorrow from 7 to 8 p.m. at the Orpheum.
Cool. So I won't be able to make it, but encourage everyone else to go if you can. Any other to and from? Vice Chair Byer.
So, Councilman Austin and Councilperson House have both recommended me to the city advisory and the plan, 2045 plan,
Oh.
regional plan.
Nice.
If that goes through the pipeline, I might step off of this because that's going to be twice a month at least for time. Be a big time in my time. So just that's on the horizon. You know, that
Well, we would miss you, and it would be, we would have
forum
to,
will become more challenging.
yeah, meeting our forum would become more challenging.
We're gonna get some more folks.
Yeah, but, it's knowing that knowing that you will be, let me put it, your presence on that group would go a long ways toward putting my mind at ease about this direction.
It's one of those things. It's diving into a deep pool. Here we go.
We'll worry about that
Yeah,
when it comes. So, but thank you, Vice Chair Byer. Any other to and from? All right, next is future agenda item requests. Vice Chair Byer, I think you had one or two things.
Yeah, and I think that was the one. Yeah, the hospital, I just wondered.
Okay.
So it's more, there's no point putting it on our agenda. Let's just get forward.
Okay. Like I have my regular things, like I said, I'm really hoping that we can continue the conversation about a periodic memo to city council or some sort of more formalized communication between us and them in the, hopefully at next month's meeting. Again, relevant to what Nicole was saying earlier, I would like to reopen, and this is something we've periodically talked about once in a while, but I would like to reopen the question of how can what are there ways that the commission can both support the sustainability, the city's sustainability vision, but also possibly, take some, are there places that we could take work off of their plate, or at least make the work a little bit less stressful? So those, I've mentioned others in the past, but those are still on the books and we know about them. Commissioners Conkle or Commissioners Conkle or Steiger, do you have anything? All right. In that case, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time, and thank you all for your time and for your knowledge and for your skills. And I hope to see you all next month, if not sooner.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks all.
All right.